Okay. Now, you've seen problems like this before, but now we're going to use that formula we learned. It says an object is thrown into the air from a height of 6 feet with a velocity of 80 feet per second. How many seconds will it land on the ground? Okay, so I need to make my 3 little boxes here, algebra boxes. And we got feet and seconds. So I know the time, the seconds are always going to be x, and the feet are always going to be y. Okay? And then per feet per second. And we know that the feet per second here is 80. Okay? So when an object goes up, it comes back down. And I want to know when it lands on the ground. So 0 feet. Okay? So I use my gravity formula. So negative 16 x to the second. And then I add my velocity 80x. Now, it was launched from 6 feet, okay? So 6 equals y, but I'm going to replace my y variable with 0, okay? So 3 terms. So we look for a greatest common factor, GCF, and then I set up my t-table. So GCF, well, I have a negative in the front, okay? I don't have x on everything. 6 would be my smallest, so 1, 6, 2, and 3. 6 divided by 2 is 3, then I come to 3. Now I see if these will divide, okay? So I can't divide 16 by 6. That's a fail right away, okay? I can't divide 16 by 3. That's a fail. I can divide 16 by 2. That's 8. Now let's try 80 divided by 2. That's 40. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, so negative 2 is the GCF. So I put negative 2, not negative 2x, just negative 2. So that's positive 8, and the x stays to the second. Minus 40, and that stays x, and then minus 3. Okay, so I take a times c. Okay, so 8 times negative 3, and that's negative 24. So I'm looking for a difference of 40. Well, 1 and 24 is a difference of 23, and that's too small, okay? If I subtract and get something that's below the number, that's going to be a fail. Okay, so here's my A, B, C, okay? Opposite of B is 40 plus or minus square root, and then parentheses to the second, minus 3 parentheses in a row. I put my B, which is negative 40. And then 4, and A is going to be 8, and C is going to be negative 3. Okay, so I'm going to have 2 times 8 on bottom, 2A. Okay, so I have plus or minus, I know I have 40, and 2 times 8 is 16. Then I make my square roots. So I have negative 40 times negative 40. And then 4 times 8 times negative 3. Okay, so I put a minus here. So negative 40 times negative 40 is 1,600. Okay, 1,600. Then I take 4 times 8 times negative 3, and that's negative 96. So minus negative is plus plus, so I add those, and that's 1,696. Now I need to find the square root of that. And I got 41.18, so that's what I put right here. And now I can get my 2 answers that I know I need to find. Now I need to hit equals first and then divide by the 16, and that gives me 5.07. And then I need to minus 41.18 equals, divide by 16, and that's going to be negative 0.07. Now, the negative we need to cross out because that's not a legit answer to a story problem. 5.07 seconds. Okay, a soccer ball is punted into the air from a height of 3 feet with a velocity of 70 feet per second. After how many seconds does it land on the ground? Okay, so feet in seconds, and X is seconds, Y is feet. Then per feet per second is going to be 70, okay? So it goes up, comes down, and then I know that it lands on the ground, so 0 feet. So negative 16x squared, because it's a gravity problem, plus 70x plus 3 equals y, but we know the y is 0 feet, okay? So I need to come up with two answers. And since I have this and this, we need to set up our factoring boxes. So GCF and the T-chart. So GCF, I have a negative in the front. Okay, so let's check out 3. So 1 and 3. And then it doesn't divide by 2. Now, can we divide all these? We can't divide them all by 3. But you need to use 1 because you've already put a negative sign. So negative 1. So we're going to get 16x a second minus 70x minus 3. And then this is where I run my ABC. Okay? So A times C, 16 times negative 3. That's negative 48, and I'm looking for a difference of 70. 1 and 48, right away that's too small to be 70. So I put fail, and then I do my plus or minus. Opposite of B is 70, square root, parentheses to the second, minus 3 parentheses in a row. Okay, so B, negative 70, and then 4. A is 16, and C is negative 3. And then 2 times 16. Okay, so I've got 70 plus or minus, and 2 times 16 is 32. Now I need to figure out this square root. Minus, okay, so I take negative 70 times itself. And then I take 4 times 16 times negative 3. So negative 70 times negative 70 is positive 4,900, and then minus, and then 4 times 16 times negative 3 is negative 192. So I plus. So 4,900 plus 192 is going to be 5,092. And now I need to find what the square root is. Okay, 71.36, okay? So I take 70 plus 71.36, hit equals, divide by 32, 4.41, okay? 70 minus 71.36 equals, and then divide that by 32, and that's negative 0.04. And again, we ignore the negative that I got, okay? Okay, my next one An object is launched from a 20-foot high platform with a velocity of 90 feet per second. After how many seconds does it hit its target that's 10 feet above the ground? Okay, so I have feet and I have seconds. So x is seconds and y is feet. Feet per second is equal to 90, okay? So I want to find when it hits its target, but it's 10 feet above the ground, so I need to put 10 feet instead of 0, okay? So negative 16x squared plus 90x. Now it began at 20 feet, so I got to add 20 equals y. And then I put this 10 in for y. Okay, we're not quite ready to set up the boxes because I need to subtract 10. I got to have everything on one side. So, negative 16x squared plus 90x, and 20 minus 10 is positive 10. Okay? So, GCF, and then my t-table. So, GCF, we do have always have the negative in front, okay? So I take 10. 10's my smallest, so 10. 1 and 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 3 is a decimal, 4 is a decimal, and then I'm back to 5. Now, I can't divide these all by 10. It won't work, okay? I can't divide them all by 5. I can divide them all by 2. They all work with 2, so negative 2 is the GCF. Then I divide all these by negative 2, and that's going to be positive 8x to the second minus 45x minus 5. Okay, so that's where I'm going to run my t-test through. So a times c, 8 times negative 40 is negative 40. 8 times negative 5 is negative 40, sorry. Difference of 45. Well, right away, 1 and 40 is too small to give me a difference of 45, so that's a fail. Okay. So, opposite of b, plus or minus the square root, parentheses to the second, minus 3 straight parentheses. So, b is negative 45, 4, a is 8, and c is negative 5. Okay, and then I go 2 times 8. There's 2 answers. Okay, so I have plus or minus, I've got 45, and then 2 times 8 is 16. Now I need to figure out what my square root, what happens in there. Okay. So I take negative 45 times negative 45, and then I take 4 times 8 times 5. Okay, that gives me positive 2025 minus, then I take 4 times 8 times 5, and that gives me 160. So I subtract, so 2025 minus 160 gives me 1,865. Now I need to find the square root of that. Okay, number times itself, that would give me close to that. Okay, so 43.18. Okay, so then I add, hit equals, divide by 16, 5.51, and then I take 45 minus 43.18, hit equals, divide by 16, and that's 0.11. Now they're both positive, so that means these are both legit answers, and the reason why is because it also hits 10 feet on the way up, okay? So that's going to be the 0.11, and then it goes back down, and then after it goes back down, 5.51 seconds have passed.